Awesome afternoon video with an awesome special guest. I'll explain more in just a minute. Let's go. Hello, everybody. My name is Rob. This is Ultra Universe Everyday Heroes, the series that covers more of the educational themed topics. Today, this one was pulled right out of my mom, so who better to talk about it than her? Let's welcome her back. You might remember her from such episodes as, well, the one we've already done.
Yeah.
So when I did this one yesterday, because I write down my afternoon videos the day before, I figured, you do this, I do this. Why not share our secrets?
Why not?
Organizing your workspace, workplace, whatever you want to call it, is not just the physical. So I have done videos before about, cleaning your desk area, making everything nice and tidy, only keeping what you need. But the other part of it are the actual things or products, or in this case, online products that you use to talk about them. So we have a few each. I figure maybe we'll go back and forth. I'll read off one, you do one, and we'll kind of just bounce. So all of mine, just for a heads up, are online because, and I think many of yours are too, mainly because for me, the online works better, less paper, less things. And the first thing are actually two of my iPhone apps, my calendar app and my reminders. So my calendar app, not just for my personal chores and stuff like that, but it also saves my ideas as to video topics, as to event topics, posts, blogs, whatever. And it helps me spread them out. So instead of just having back to back to back, I can kind of put a couple this month, put a couple this month. And for my reminders app, that's where I get a lot of my titles from after doing research. So let's say I come across a cool YouTube video or I come across a cool article, I'll go to my reminders, I'll write down kind of what the article was called or what the video was about, change it to my thing, and go about doing that. I always wondered what the apps are really for. Now, I know the calendar app was always for people to get your stuff together, if you have an appointment, whatnot. But I never really got what the reminders one was for. So to change up my mindset also helped me make it work. So for an example, we try to do meditation daily. So I'll write down, maybe look up a new meditation video once a week so we don't do the same one over and over again.
Right.
That would be for personal. But I'll also have, let's set up there's something called blind date with a book where you basically get to a book club, but you don't know what the title is. So I'll write that down because let's say I don't want to do it right then, but I want to do it a couple months, I'll have it set to go. But yeah, the reminders app to me just kind of seemed useless because I didn't really get what it was for. But now that I have a purpose, it's now, I can't do anything without it now. Like it's my app. And really, to be honest, my phone is good for a couple things. I'll play a game on it. I'll do that. But really, that's kind of the limitation of my phone, other than making a call, sending a text, doing whatever. So I'm curious to see what yours, because I know a lot of yours are computer, not phone. So what's one of your choices?
I'm going to piggyback on the calendar,
Okay.
specifically because everything I use in terms of my communication and things are the Google set of products. So I use a Gmail account. I have a Google Calendar that lives on my phone as well as on my desktop. Why is that important? Because yes, you're right. I sit in front of my desktop all day long and I will put in my calendar events, but it won't do me any good if I'm walking around and I have no way to access it. So I love the idea that I can sync all of my appointments and create appointments that will sync over to my desktop. And the
Right.
thing that I don't use a reminder app, what I use is something called Keep. I don't know if you've heard of that. That is actually a Google product as well. And it works sort of like Evernote or OneNote. It's a clipper service. So if let's say you saw an idea, you said date night or whatever, activity, what you would do is you would save it to your Keep account and you can tag it and you can coordinate it by categories and stuff. So I tend to want to I clip recipes because. But I also clip ideas just like you. And what's really cool about it, it is all goes into one place and it is already built in to my phone. It's those three little dots that you click on and it will say share and then it will say where do you want to share it. So I share it over to my Keep.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a fun, cool app, a very cool app.
Yeah, I mean, I will give Apple credit for always have coming up with some sort of, or actually in this case, Google, I should say. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting to see because I will admit I will keep an app for maybe a week and delete it because more often than not, whether it's on the computer or the phone, I'll use it and then go, I can do this with a pen and a paper and not take up the storage on my whatever. And it's so much easier. So I'll give them the credit, whether it's Apple, whether it's Google, whatever. But at the same time, I feel like they do push out a bunch of apps that maybe just
True.
kind of are
True.
ideas, random.
But you have to pick. You have to pick the ones that work the
Right.
best for you. And I do the same thing. Clearly we're mother and son. So I will download a bunch of apps because that looks really interesting, and I'll
Yes.
go and then I'll go, okay, this is dumb, and I will literally delete
Yeah.
it. But Keep isn't one of them. And so I don't know if you've ever used Evernote before, but Evernote is similar. So it's a app that you have on your phone and your computer, both of
Okay.
those places, whether it's a Mac or PC, it doesn't really matter. I'm one of those girls that has a Mac computer, but my phone is an Android. And so for me, I have to find things, which is why I don't use a lot of Apple apps because it doesn't talk to the Android. So I tend to use Google Apps, which also is very friendly for, Apple Macintoshes as well.
That makes sense. So if you guys are just popping on, we are giving you some tips and tricks to organize your workspace, but apparently also our life because, everything works in harmony together. So the
Absolutely.
next thing on my list goes from phone to computer. It's the simple computer notepad. You'll notice that there's a theme on mine. It's the very obvious things that come with
Right.
your system.
Right.
So for me, the notepad is one and one thing only: where to put my script, where to put my thoughts, and if I need a quick reminder what I'm talking about, I can glance over without you really knowing. It's magic, maybe. And that's really important to do. So, for instance, when you and I are doing one, when I'm doing one, when I'm on with somebody else, it's a great way to write them down. You don't have to write down the whole sentence. For instance, our gardening one, I kind of just wrote down, when to start, the importance of stuff like that. You just put down a couple
Right.
words that make sense, and you're good to go.
Reminders.
Exactly. So it's
Right.
similar to the reminder on the phone, but this one literally is the notepad. Now, again, I will say I never really got the point of having this because I didn't have any notes to write down. And any notes I did have to write down would be like, okay, get milk on the grocery list and, stick it on your fridge. Yes, that sounds very old, I know. But it's a matter of thinking about it. Now, obviously, these are one of the things that comes with computers. So when you buy a new PC or Mac, you get,
Right.
Notepad, you get I can literally open the thing up and there's all these things that come
Right.
with it.
Right.
So that one to me, it might be over obvious, but I would say for cleanliness and clearness, and especially for those who like the OCD thing, the online notepad is so much nicer because instead of having and I'm rubbing my hands across my desk now, all the things across your table,
Right.
you can have them on your computer. And then if you are running out of room, delete them, put them somewhere else, do whatever. Because most of the time, the notes I have are not long term. They're
Right.
just,
Well, what
one
you're
day.
talking about is a structure. And it goes along with the title of the show: organizing your thoughts, organizing your
Right.
workspace, organizing your phone, organizing your computer so it talks to your phone. Everything is we've talked about this a lot. When we are organized, we feel better,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Because we know where everything is in its place, and we know where to find things. Now, I don't use Notepad. I tend to type out a script onto a document, which also then I'll just open up on my computer, and it is like magic. You don't even know I'm looking at it because it's there. But I also
Right.
tend to keep everything as well. I tend to keep everything because they become templates, work smarter, not harder, and therefore
You have
I
to
keep them.
file away.
Right, absolutely. But I do have a task list program. And the task
Okay.
list is also a Google program. However, you can open it on either one. And literally, I do it by category. So I have my to-dos for the shows, and I have my to-dos, personal to-dos, and I have, health things that I have to take care of. And it lives on my phone and my computer. And again, it syncs. There is a theme here, is if you can find programs that will sync from one place to the other, you don't have to worry about things falling through the cracks. And that is, I think, really the message here, right?
Well, and I was going to say, because since I have the new computer, thanks to you, I was, I didn't realize how quickly it went together. So I go on my phone and then I come up here and literally what I was doing there pops up on my screen because I
Mm-hmm.
keep forgetting it's now one. So I'm going, wait, I never searched this up here. Why is it here? And I
Right.
realize, oh,
All
because
connected.
I'm on. Exactly. So it's weird, but it is cool. Once you
Right.
figure out what you're doing with it, it makes more sense. If you have no idea what's happening, you're going to go, "What the hell is going on?" But you're right.
Right. And
The ability to click it together
right.
makes life so much easier. Makes, as you said, makes you feel better. All that.
Makes you feel better. And also, just backing up for a second with the calendar, a calendar, especially the Google calendars, and I think that the Mac calendars do the same thing, but not as much of a deep dive. When you are in a Google calendar, you can color code things. You
Oh, that way.
can identify regular things that are going to happen. You can actually, when you put your tasks on the Google task list, it will pop up on your calendar. So now you have alerts that will show up. Again, everything is connected. But I mean, if somebody saw my calendar, I think they would either do one of two things. They would throw up, um, or they would say, "Wow, this is really cool," or somewhere in between.
Or both.
Everything's or both. Everything is color coded. All my personal things are blue, and all of my business stuff is green, so that I can, with a glance, know exactly where my stuff is and what
Well,
I'm
I was
doing.
going to ask because for me, and I think I told you this, I have only one set on my phone because I had it where like birthdays popped up, stuff like that. But it literally annoyed the hell out of me because I didn't know where things were coming from, and I didn't know it was like a ADD overload. So I know because you similarly have some things that I do. So I'm wondering what do you think the difference is between why I only use one per se, but how you're okay with the multiple? Is it because you know the difference, or is it just that
I
you're
think first of all, we're talking notificate. You're talking specifically about getting notifications and things popping up. If you don't say in your calendar invite or the calendar event that you don't want to be notified, you won't be notified. So you can literally set the notifications. What I like is to be able to open my phone or open my calendar on the computer and just with a glance either say, "Oh my God, I have so much work this week," or
right?
"Wow, this is going to be pretty much a free week," which never happens. But I can add a glance. So we're talking, I think, two different things: notifications versus what we visually see when we look at it. If I don't look at my calendar, I'm not going to get those notifications unless I said, like, for instance, I needed to be on the show with you today. I put a notification in my phone that said, "This is important. I have to be somewhere." So
Right.
it's just that. But you can just do notifications for one thing if you want.
Yeah, and that's why I asked because on mine, what I do is I have it set. I think I just called it Rob's calendar, and I
Right.
took off the national holidays. I took off
Right.
all the other stuff because honestly, I have a calendar there. If I need to know what day's coming
Right.
up, I can read it. But
Right.
for me, since I already have so many things on one, adding three more calendars is going to be a little much for me to do.
I can
But
see.
what
I can see. I can see where that would be.
Right, but I do agree. Yeah, if you want to turn off the notifications, and I think I would say most of us probably do. I think the annoyance of having things pop up so much, I would say
Crazy.
90% of us probably just say nope
Nope.
and just never look at it because they know they're going to look at the app anyway. So if they do, they're not going
Right.
to miss the notification. It's just not going to be all right. So my last one finally goes. Well, actually, stays on the computer here, and you like this one, and I like this one for one reason. It's the Google Drive, the whole thing. But I like it for the reason of connecting to others. So, for instance, Krista's on it, so she can check. I think you're on some of them
Right.
on mine as well.
Right.
So, for me, it's not actually the organization personally for me, but it's knowing that if something needs to get fixed or corrected or done,
Right.
I can have somebody overlook it and not have to worry about it myself. Now, obviously, you can change it so you can say only share this, don't share this.
Right.
But I like the fact that Google Drive kind of already automatically said, "Do you want to share it?" Because I think they kind of know you're
Right.
working as a team. And at the same time, I think there's other things you could do on there. Making You can save the photos, do graphs, stuff like that
Right.
as well.
Right.
So it's like a storage on top of your
Very much.
computer.
It's cloud. It's a cloud storage.
Yeah,
We hear about the Apple Cloud and we hear about OneDrive and we hear about Dropbox. Google Drive is just another one of those products. However, the Google Drive also connects to again, all of the rest of your Google products. So,
right.
again, everything in one place and it's in the cloud. And again, for the same reason, when you drop something in the Google Drive on your phone, it's going to be in your Google Drive on your computer.
So let's
And
say you don't have your phone on you, you can pop on the
you can
computer or
access it from anywhere, anybody's computer. Now, I use the Google Drive all the time for storage because I also believe that you should always keep a copy of everything you create on your own computer or on your own drive. And the reason for that is a lot of us feel that, oh, well, it's on social media and there it is. And that's where we keep our stuff. Well, the thing is we don't own social media. And in any moment, you could shut you down
right.
just because. And so it's always a good idea to keep things somewhere else. Now, my favorite online organizational tool is Trello.
I saved that one for you because I like it, but I know.
And you just recently have gotten into it because I made you, but not really. I mean, again, it's a project management tool. Now, there's lots of programs out there. Basecamp does it. Asana does that. I mean, there's a lot of programs. I like Trello because it works like Post-it notes, and you can literally move a card or a note from one column to the next. So when we're creating shows, we can start here and identify all the things we need. And when the show is done, it moves over here. It's a way to visually see everything. And that it's free. And that's the other thing. All of the things that we're talking about here are free apps. Now,
Right.
some of them have upgrades and that you can, get the bells and the whistles or whatever, but most of these things can be used completely free. And I like that.
And honestly, it's not that often anymore that you get it for free. I think on mine, just to have extra storage, I think 99 cents a month you can get on the
Right.
Google
Yeah.
Drive, a couple extra, whatever.
Right.
But even still, I mean, I don't have nearly enough to really worry, so I don't have that. I don't think
Right.
I have it anymore. But it the additions are fairly cheap. But if you don't have a billion things on there, you probably won't ever have to worry about it.
Or here's the hack. You divvy it up because Dropbox is free as well to a certain amount of data. OneDrive is free to a certain amount of data. Google Drive is Apple. So you really, unless you are, and then if you have that kind of stuff, then you are rolling in the money and it doesn't matter. You can pay your, extra $20 for the year to have extra space.
Right.
But I divvy it out. I literally go, okay, I'm going to put this stuff over here. The problem is you got to remember where you put everything. So, there is that.
Yeah, I can't do that very well. No, and I was just going to add a Trello too. It is pretty cool. I remember I used it a while back when I was helping out too. It is cool. I mean, I would say the only thing is for me, maybe just how my mind is, it all looks kind of exactly the same. Now I know Trello looks like the Post-its, other ones look different. So what I think the main question for the organizing is, what would you look at to pick the things you want to use that will help? So like, for instance, when you're getting organized, how do you decide, okay, we're going to use these three programs and that's it because those three work?
Well, I think you begin with the end in mind. What is it that you're attempting to do? Right? What is it that you need to do? If you need to take better notes or keep a better, now I still am old school. I'm old school. I do write notes in here, but at the end of each day, I go in them and I curate them and say, okay, these are the ones that were important because it's chicken scratch, and then I'll put them somewhere else. You got to figure out what works for you. I like the whole idea of having the paper because there's something about the writing and there's something about all of that. I think there's some educational things with that when you write
Right.
things, you internalize it better. But you got to pick the things that are going to work for you. If you don't take notes on a regular basis, well, then don't get the notepad. But if you have a lot of activities that go on in your life, I would say the very first thing that you should do is decide on what calendar you want to use.
Yeah.
Because in that calendar, you can also put a couple of notes for that event that you're going to. or link it to something else. You can link your Zoom to your calendar if you were so inclined. So I
Right.
would think that would be my choice. What would be your choice as the very first
I
online?
mean, I would think I'd probably have to say I would need something calendar or calendar like to write it down so I at least know. So, like for
Mhm.
instance, at home we have some of those magnetic fridge boards, and it's a
Right.
calendar, and that's for like the upcoming stuff. So we have one that has the day to day. Well,
Uh-huh.
let's say 2 weeks from now, like for instance, when I'm recording with you, I'll write it on the big one because that has more
Right.
volume. But I would say something that would give me a 7 days a week, whether it's Monday through Sunday or just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Right.
And that would keep me there. And then, secondarily, just to piggyback, then I would have my notepad to go, okay, so on day one, what's first three things I have to
Right.
do? And then I can kind of fill in the rest or leave it blank if
That's
I don't
important
want
what you're saying, Rob. That is very important what you're saying, is that I'm sure we all have that humongous master list of things to do, right? It's like it goes on for hours. But from that master list, every day I will pick those items that I know I need to get done. And I don't say I'm going to get all 100 done. I say these are the top two things that I need to get done, just like you. And I might not put it on the notepad, but I will make sure to put it in the calendar because I can't bear to go to the next day and see things that were not done. But
to.
that's me. But so again, going back to what works for you, figure out what works for you and then do it. And then if it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. Say, okay, that didn't work. I'm going to go try something else. I mean, after all, it's technology, and technology is changing every single day. So it may have worked for you last week.
Yeah. Well, and that's one I think I would say the one key I would say is make sure you have it on a paper, make sure you have it in a book,
Right.
because no matter what, if the computer shuts down, at least you have something to look at, even if it's in pencil and pen. You can still look at it there, or like you have the reminder on the fridge. So yeah,
Right.
technology is good, but I always say have the backup
Right.
in case.
Exactly. Now there is one more thing that I think that everyone should have on their digital devices, and that is a passport keeper, a password keeper rather.
Oh,
So
okay.
I use Dashlane. And the reason, again, that I use Dashlane is that it's on my phone and it's on my computer and it syncs. So if I change my password somewhere, it will let my phone know. So when I log into my phone and I'm trying to log into something, we were talking yesterday about logging in and we couldn't find the password. It will save your passwords and it is unbreakable. The Dashlane particular program that I use because it's a master password. And if you forget your master password, they don't have it. You have to start all over again.
Ah,
It is very, very secure. It is also they search the dark web and all that other stuff. Now that I do pay a premium for, and the reason why I do that is that I do want to have it on my phone, and I do want it. How frustrating is it to be out and not even out and about, to be on your phone and be asked to do something and you cannot remember the frickin' password? You can't log in, and you know it's somewhere. You know it's somewhere. We got it. We got Krista there.
oh, speaking of, let's see where she's.
I get
Uh,
that too.
and then well, because I know a lot, because I know you two have the same journal calendar thing. So I know
Mhm.
and she'll show me hers, and I know she'll. But it is true, and but yeah, I mean, but on the password thing, you're right. For me, the thing is because the computer will hold it, and I don't necessarily have to remember because it's logged in. So, like for instance, my video streaming, my whatever, it's logged in. Now on my phone, I have like I think the seven top ones that I need. So if I
Mhm.
do get locked out, I can do that. There you go. She wants the
So,
password.
type it. So, I can't type in the chat. I do not think. But if you want to type in, it's called Dashlane. Dashlane. There are lots of different ones out there. But if you do your research and find out the reviews on it, this one is listed at the very, very top, followed by LastPass. I think LastPass is the other one that people use. But I am a huge fan of Dashlane. Huge fan. It will change your passwords for you if you need to. You can literally go into the program and it will tell you if you've used a password too many times, and it will say you need to change this. I mean, how cool is that? It's a pain in the butt, but how cool is that? Is that it will tell you what needs to be done. So obviously I'm a geek. I love this stuff.
And that's why you're on the show for this.
That's why
But
I'm
no,
on.
but, I mean, it is true, and there's so many things to do, and I think it is a mix of both. So I think the first thing is when you want to get organized, get your space ready. So
Right.
your clean desk. Yeah, I have some things on here. I got my little guy that I sit with, and I have
I
photos.
have I have Wonder Woman who I sit with. I do, honest.
Very different than mine.
I know.
I have a couple little calendars and such in here, but I definitely limit it to maybe under 6 or 7 items, not including the actual computer, mouse, and keyboard. But secondarily, I think this is kind of part two to my video from a few months ago, is what we're talking about now. It's programs or journals or whatever it is to keep you up to date on what you have to do. And like you said, it works for everybody. So I think I agree. First thing I would do is pick some sort of calendar thing to have for your month. Secondarily, passwords and any important login info. And then third, just find maybe 1 or 2 apps that you want to use to keep your notifications. So whether it's Google Drive, whether it's Notepad, whether it's
Keep or
Keep,
something of that nature. Yeah.
anything like that. So I think and like you said a minute ago, everything's switching up. So we're actually going to talk about this on our next video on our show, the social media thing. One reason why I limit to what I'm doing using social media is because the less you have to remember of the change, the easier it is. So for me, I basically have my Twitter and my YouTube. Twitch, I'm slowly working on, but that's a whole other space right there. But really, only having to worry about what Twitter's doing and what YouTube is doing is a lot easier for me than worrying about every other social media.
Exactly. And you know what? We are going to talk about that, but very briefly, anyone who says to you, you need to be on everything, don't listen to them. Pick the platforms that work for what you are doing. If you are using social media just to stay in touch with people, maybe Facebook is a good place for you because you just want to show your pictures and things like that. I think of Facebook like a picnic. Twitter is more of a conversation, but more like being in a bar, right? There's conversations going on all around you, and it doesn't work for a lot of people. I'm on Twitter, but I'm on Twitter more just to see what you're doing and to see what other people are doing. I don't do a lot of engaging, but I like to see the conversation. For my ADD, it's too much. There's just too much going on. But I like Instagram. I like TikTok. But when people need to pick the one that works for them, or the two that works for them, and nobody's going to think poorly of them if they don't do everything. Truly, just pick.
And if you guys want to know more, you will have to tune in a couple weeks because it's going to be fun. But no, we had a good time, and as I said, I love having you on because we're doing the other shows, we're doing stuff, and whether we're talking about healthy food, that's what we were talking about the other day. So whether it's healthy food or organizing your home office and everything in between. We just want to kind of give you some ideas. And as I always mention, we're not, I'm not the professional all of organization. This is more of opinion based, but it's stuff that works. And when I have some, proof, like a guest that does it too, I sound a little bit better, right? So we appreciate everybody watching this. We have a few watchers today. I'll always appreciate the comments we get. If you guys aren't able to watch it live, you can catch it on replay on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch while you're there. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell, and I will just appear like magic.
Like magic.
As always, you can find my mom anywhere that podcasts are sold. You can find her on YouTube, a little bit on Twitter, and everything else in the world, Facebook. But as for everybody here and for her, thank you so much for joining us. And as I said, stay tuned. We had our first launch yesterday for our video, which was really cool. I still think I sound so weird when I'm listening to myself. I'm like, you watch it on your phone, I'll listen from afar. But anyway, so we hope you enjoyed the video. If you want more, obviously subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow with more videos. And until then, have a wonderful afternoon, morning, or night, depending on where you are watching.